You know, I just I gotta address this, and I talked about this before. I really don't care, but it's kind of like kind of sad a little bit. And what I notice is a lot of brothers just wasting their life. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, I remember, like I basically, so your whole premise, first off, your whole premise of living is to basically procreate, to extend your life forward, your DNA forward. If you don't, you go out, get hit by a car, basically you're done. You just, you're born, you lived, and then you died, and then your genetic footprint is basically probably in your nephew or some type of your brother or your family member or whatever, and that's it. But your actual true legacy, your true DNA match or replication is no longer valid. It's just it's gone. And these are the things I used to think about when I was in my late 20s, and it was kind of like my alarm bell to basically take things a little bit more serious. I mean, if you really want to be honest, or if I really want to be honest with you, basically take a little risk, start raw dogging. Like, I mean, honestly, my teenage years, I had a early scare as far as like a STD scare, and I was definitely scared shitless of HIV and AIDS and all of that. And I basically used rubbers. I mean, basically like they were just basically part of just, it was just a normal thing to use. I mean, like some, I remember, I still never forget, like when I was in high school in 1994, and it was dudes already bragging in the locker room about them having sex, and a few of them already had children. I mean, literally had a kid in eighth grade or seventh grade or something like that. And they already, basically fathers and freshmen in high school. And I found that to be tripped out. Like, that was like that really tripped me out. I mean, I myself, I didn't have no sex in junior high. I didn't actually start having sex until my junior year in high school. I mean, like, you know, I guess, that's kind of late according to my time, because definitely people in my, freshman year, definitely sophomore year, they was getting it on like Donkey Kong. Definitely probably, junior high too, but um it was a thing where, I was definitely late to the party, which is fine, but it was guys that, were 18, they already had kids. They were 19, 20, they already had, like, a couple kids. Like, I was like, damn, they were risk takers. It was normal to them. Like, they were getting it down, and going in hot, and going in raw. I was concerned. I wasn't necessarily scared about kids, but I definitely didn't want no STDs. Like, that was like the main concern. Like, STDs was just scary as hell. The whole HIV AIDS thing was really, really big. They used to do PSAs in school. Like, they had auditoriums. Like, we used to have to go to an auditorium, the whole school, to watch like videos on HIV AIDS. Like, it was a big deal. It was a big scare. Meanwhile, 2026, they've I think one country or another, or I even think in this country, they cured somebody of AIDS, and then basically there's medicine that it's not over the counter, but it will prevent, I think it, like they said, it'll prevent up to like 89 or 90% of any age, like basically transmission. And it's called PrEP. Yeah, it's a lot of porn stars, definitely people in the LGBT, they use PrEP. Because it's basically blocks transmission like at a high rate from you actually getting the virus, and it basically puts people that have HIV/AIDS or whatever in a non-detectable status, to where it's like basically kind of attacking it, and it to the point where you test for it and it doesn't come. They'd have to do a higher advanced test, or it won't come up in certain test results. Almost like someone that has diabetes and then they reversed it, then basically their glucose levels start to re-normal type of thing. Like, but they still have diabetes. Their glucose levels, they made lifestyle changes or whatever, and they got their glucose levels to normalcy. So yeah, it was a scare. For me, it wasn't necessarily no religious thing. Like at one time I was religious, and it was like, trying to abstain from sex and trying to get married and all of that, being, practicing Islam and all of that stuff. And, it's like basically, I got out of that, and I just went to be kind of a heathen, I guess. And the thing is I was already in my late 20s, going into my 30s. I had got a chick that was, she was like Ethiopian, and I think she was Ethiopian and Ghanaian or something. Like, I had got her pregnant. Then I got my first abortion, as far as a chick that I got pregnant and then she got an abortion. So that was like, I was 27, I think, 27 or 28. And, it was like, a situation where, yeah, that shit fucked me up. I don't know, some dudes, they probably, they're probably either pro-abortion. I think a lot of guys, I would say most guys are probably pro-abortion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would probably say 6 or 7 out of 10 men are probably pro-abortion. I myself, no. Now, I understand it if it's like a situation where the child may come out damaged or have some type of illness or disease, or even the child may harm the mother, like, giving birth to the mother. Basically the mother giving birth might kill her, because yeah, that is a risk that women take, trying to give birth. They could actually die in childbirth. It actually does happen. I don't know what the percentage or rate that happens, but it does happen. It does happen, where it's reports where a mother dies during childbirth. I think even Aaron Hall, the singer Aaron Hall, that basically R. Kelly basically stole his whole style. He had a song called "I Miss You," and in the video, that was what happened. Like, the child, basically she was giving birth, and then, she died, giving birth, and he got to raise the baby by himself, and all that type of stuff. But yeah, it was it's a big deal. But the whole point is, basically, in my mind, I'm like, I gotta hurry up. I'm old as shit. It's people that I went to high school with that they had a child while they were technically a teenager. Even some had them, when they were guys that had kids while they was in high school, whether they were a freshman, sophomore, junior. Of course, it was chicks that I went to high school with, got pregnant in high school. I still remember, like, it was like probably it was quite a few chicks that was walking the halls and they had a stomach, like they was pregnant. Like, basically, I would say it was probably in the, like, you could probably count it on your fingers, like how many women were actually, you know, walking around pregnant or whatever. But the thing is like, yeah, by the time I was, you know, in my 20s and 30s, it was dudes that already had teenagers. One of the dudes that I went to college with, he had went back home to Chicago, and he was basically, he had just, his girlfriend was just giving, she was going in labor, I think, or something like that. And I mean, I was 18 at the time, or 19. He was like about 18. So, I mean, like, yeah, like I wasn't going, you know, I wasn't going in like that. Like, I mean, it was one chick that I did when I was going to college that I did do that, but it was kind of tripped out. Like she was fine, but I found out that basically she was a thought. And it was like, once I found out she was back then we called them hood rats. And once I found out she was like, you know, doing everybody, you know, I was like, nah, I ain't trying to get bothered with this. But she was fine in a motherfucker. She was like, I think she was like Puerto Rican and black, and like, man, I mean, she was like, she might have been the finest chick that I ever been with. Like, I mean, intimate with. Like, I mean, that's, you know, she was like a 9 or an 8. Like, she was fine in a motherfucker. She looked like old girl from the Spike Lee movie with I think it was like Do the Right Thing. Like, she looked like old girl from Rosie Perez. Like, but she looked better than Rosie Perez. You know what I'm saying? So I guess, I don't know, like, maybe like nature was like, at the time, was like, man, it's an opportunity. And I definitely, man, you know, I shouldn't have been watching Do the Right Thing, because technically, shit, I wasn't even a teenager then. That definitely was I'm pretty sure it was a rated R movie, because basically in the movie, Rosie Perez had her tits out, and Spike Lee was basically rubbing ice cubes on her tits. And you know, I mean, I done watched way worse than that at that. But the thing is like, cause like, yeah, me and my sisters, man, we was both like, we used to be basically laid back in my grandfather's room while he was asleep, watching all kind of Skinemax and all kinds of, you know, after dark HBO specials and all kinds of crazy stuff. But the thing is, like, yeah, you know, I was like, I guess, man, at that time, I was like, man, this opportunity, and I just, man, shit, the condoms was off, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I say all of that to say this, right? When I got to my 30s, I mean, I think it was like a situation where, like, with me also, I'm being very personable on this video, because I just, you know what I'm saying, I just think that you should know, and I just see what I see. I mean, you know, people gonna do what they gonna do, but, you know, whatever. The thing is like, when I got to my like late 20s, like even before then, I really never really had no girlfriend like that. Like, I never did the whole girlfriend and boyfriend thing, you know. And I think that's probably why I didn't have probably didn't have children until like I was in my late 30s or mid 30s. Because like once I'll say this, like obviously sex is very, very addictive and it's great and all of that. But it's a difference between, all right, you smashing, one or two times, or even, smashing through the night. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know some guys, I don't know, like some people can't, they can't, hang or whatever. I don't know, but it depends on the person. Like, I've done that quite a few times. Like, had late night smash sessions where, I probably win like 4 or 5 rounds. Might even been 6. I don't know, but I mean, I was definitely younger. Doing that now. Shoot, man. I probably could, but damn, I mean, it's just not. It's just, I mean, all of that energy and everything like that and chemistry, like I just replicating that, that was when I was in my 20s. It's a different type of situation. Of all you got to do is you look up LeBron, look up Michael Jordan playing basketball in their 20s versus playing in their 40s. You can see a stark difference, a big difference. But the thing is like, once I like basically started to be, I switched things up, and then I was like, well, let me try this whole American boyfriend and girlfriend type of situation. Cause to me, I just didn't really take the whole girlfriend, boyfriend stuff. Even to this day, I don't think, I don't take that serious. Like I mean, people do meet each other and then they do have girlfriend and boyfriends and shit, then she's my fiance and then she's my wife and all of that. That's how people get down in America. Like they try the goods out, they have the goods for a while, and it's like, oh, if the dude like the goods, he might marry her, or he move on, or the chick moves on. I mean, like I ain't gonna say a lot, but it's some cultures and religions, it ain't no try before you buy. It's like, first of all, you have to be qualified before you buy, or even, like have the money ready or whatever. And if you don't, you ain't getting shit. And ain't no credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better have 150 cows or some goats or whatever, some money, whatever, and that's just how that is. Like, and, basically, you ain't trying out no pussy. You marrying the woman, and then when you marry, after the marriage is over with, that night or whatever, you gonna get what you paid for. You gonna get what you got. Right? Like that's how that goes. And I mean, like, yeah, my dad did not like me having no girlfriend. He ain't like me talking to no chicks like that, because that's part of his culture. That's part of, Muslims are not supposed to date. They're not, in the sense of, going on a date, getting the buns, trying things out, enjoying a woman as much as you want to, very much just like a husband would, right? Like, it's like not forbidden, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't really understand that. I just thought that shit was weird. Like, girls would call my house and he'd hang the phone up. I'm like, damn, but, I understand it, of course, now. I mean, after I kind of like, tried to take Islam serious and all of that. And, I started to read the Quran and all of that, the Hadith and all of that. And I understood, that's how my father was raised, and that's what he was trying to, instill to me. But, I mean, I took the, I guess the traditional American route in my late 20s. I'm like, man, well, let me try this out, and I started getting, kind of like getting the whole girlfriend and boyfriend thing. Not even saying the whole girlfriend and boyfriend thing. I just started to like try to take one woman serious versus before I was just hitting whatever I could. I mean, pretty much I was just like, the Maytag man, I was hitting whatever I could, and it was like, that was it. Like, and then it was like, well, sometimes I kind of like, I feel like that's kind of like the way to go in a sense, but then there's limitations to that, obvious limitations to that. But the thing is, like, once I started to like just be with one woman, I like lived in my first live-in girlfriend. That experience, and I even, I still talk to her, like off and on, but like I even told her, I'm like, after that experience, like that becomes addictive. That becomes more addictive than, basically just smashing a chick, every now and again, or, a one hitter quitter or whatever. You can have countless booty calls and you can have a chick that you hit every now and again, and come over for a couple hours or maybe spend the night, and then she goes back. Like, that experience versus once you start laying up with a woman, waking up, y'all going to sleep together, waking up together, she waking you up, that's totally different. And I understand why dudes go out and try to get, they try to get the whole, in-house coochie, man. They, try to get married, try to stay in the marriage, or even try to get, to get with women that are absolute reckless, and they eventually get divorced, or they trying to deal with it the best way they can, and drinking and all of that, because that live in coochie, man, it's a phenomenal thing. It's more, I would say, it's more phenomenal when you got a woman that, y'all both on the same page. I mean, that just, motherfuckers go to war for women like that. Like, a woman that's on the same page, y'all both y'all both are compatible, y'all able to cohabit with each other. I mean, that's why women like that is why men climb mountains, go to wars, go to work 2 shifts, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Those are for those women like that, right? Now, the thing is like, yeah, when you start laying up with a chick, man, it's nothing. It's not that whole like being like hitting it. You can be a porn star, and it still's not fulfilling, because it's kind of like, I mean, a woman's body is a gift to a man. A man's body is gift to a woman, and it's like when you just marinate and you laying up with a chick, you got all of the gifts right there. You can, touch on the titty. You can, suck it. You can, everything is just laid out. It is right there. It's like almost you got a feast, versus, to fast food. Having a spread laid out, you can eat it whenever time, it's just right there. You can eat as much as you want. You can have your feel. You can come, go to sleep, wake up, go back to it. Like, it's nothing like it. Okay? Nothing like it. Like, dudes, once they actually get that, and I started getting that late. I mean, it's just like you just want, that's all you want. And I'm be honest, like, I mean, even things, given the fact that, I mean, whatever, being a maintenance man versus being in a relationship or a long-term relationship, like, or let's just say, just to, be corporate, a short-term relationships versus long-term relationships. Long-term relationships do rock, okay? But short-term relationships have their benefits too. But I mean, the thing is like, I don't agree with, buying women as far as like buying pros, prostitutes, whatever. Like, because you just really don't get that much satisfaction from it. At least in my opinion. In my opinion, I can't really get satisfied from no prostitute. I mean, you better use a rubber. You better not be trying to raw dog no escort, no chick off Fig and whatever, Figueroa, you bet not. Like, what I'm saying? So you gotta use that, and that experience is not. It just, I ain't gonna lie. Like, condoms and shit. Like, it's a totally different experience than you laying up with a chick that y'all both trust each other. Y'all both got tested before you even got in a relationship, and y'all both letting off rounds in each other, and you fully experiencing that woman. When you got a condom on, it's a limited experience. It is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. But I'm saying, like, that's one thing. And then another thing with hookers and all of that is it's a rushed experience usually. It's usually rushed, and it's like everything is just limited. You getting head limited, what I'm saying? Like, you getting sex is limited. It's just really not worth it. It's like someone that's used to getting feast going to I don't know, like eating food through plastic. Trying to eat food through plastic. Like, I don't know, like sucking on a lollipop with a motherfucking, what I'm saying, with the wrapper still around it. Like, what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is this? It's not satisfying. And then the third thing, and I've said this before, is you're dealing with a chick that's either, a lot of those women selling puss they coming from like something in a broken, sunken place. A lot of them women, they are fucking in survival mode. Especially, I know it's high price escorts, that's a different story. You know what I'm saying? Different experience, even though, I ain't never indulged in that, because I ain't had no money like that. And even if I did, I don't really look at it much different. But the thing is like, usually the, lower tier, diesels, in the octane scales, the BGS, more octane scales, the diesel, the low class diesels are usually the ones that you're going to get, the ones that's advertising on all of them websites and all of that. And it's just, you dealing with a chick from a broken family, you know what I'm saying? Like, you dealing with Bro Rilla and all of them. Like, you dealing with Bro Rilla in the gang, selling box for survival, take care of their kids, for, paying for a place to live, probably living out of the hotel, trying to get men to pay for them to pay for, live in a hotel, all of that shit. And it's just, you basically, it's almost like, I'm saying, it's kind of like, you're not taking advantage of this woman, but why this woman is in this situation. This woman is most likely poor from a broken family or some shit, or she got some pimp in the other room that's, gonna beat her ass if she ain't made enough money or whatever the fuck. Like, it's just, it's a lot of negativity involved in that. Like, the high price escorts, I mean, that's a little different because they, it depends, because you got some women, I know I'm all over the place, but you got some women that sell pussy that they actually started off being like a low class escort or pro, whatever, and they kind of learn the game, and they start to learn, okay, I can charge more. They start gaining more confidence, and they starting to buy different stuff. Like, they instead of going to buy stuff at the little boutiques, they start wearing Louis Vuittons and Chanel dresses and shit. And then now they learn, okay, they can make them an escort site, and then they could charge $500 for an hour, 2 hour minimum or some shit like that, and $1,500 to plus a $500 deposit to fly in to wherever you are, and another $500 for meals and all. So they learn, okay, I can charge more, I can get higher upper echelon men to pay me, and then once they figure that out, then it's totally different. But then you got some women that they themselves are from the upper class, and I don't know, they still want some money, or maybe they don't get they don't get that much of a trust fund, or maybe they just need to get through law school or some shit like that. Like, I remember it was some Showtime series where it was some chick in Toronto. She was selling box, and she was actually going to school to be a lawyer, or she was actually finishing school to be a lawyer or whatever. And she was working in some law firm, and they had found out that she was actually a escort, and she was kind of embarrassed by it, But the thing is like, yeah, I mean, in that situation, it's a little different, but it's not that much different, because it's like you paying for something that you really ain't gonna get no satisfaction from at the end of the day. I mean, in my opinion, you just not really gonna get no satisfaction. The only thing I could say is, if you can, and I don't recommend dealing with this. And then you also, it's illegal in this country. This country prostitution is not federally legal. I believe it should be federally legal, even though I don't even think that I would even use that service. I most likely won't use that service, but I think it should be, because men want to, have an outlet, and I don't think every man can get women. A lot of men just don't know how to get women, for whatever reason, and prostitutes kind of, fill that void, but the thing is like, another thing is that a lot of women actually kind of, it would help, as far as, even though women are doing it, and it's almost like kind of illicit drugs, probably even less than that, because women are already selling box. Like, they they selling whatever, it's no, what I'm saying, it's there. Like, if you want to get some, you can, get some. Like, it's like drugs. So they're already doing it, but it's not legal. What I'm saying? Like, it's not legal. So, that's another thing to add to it, right? This is not, Germany, where, it's legal. It's not legal in this country, So the thing is that, yeah, it's just, me personally, I don't get satisfaction from that. It's like, the thing is, some guy, I guess they deal with it, but, I don't really know. I mean, as far as, I know why I got on that subject, but I mean, the whole thing is like, yeah, like me learning kind of late in life, kind of like the whole laying up, having a woman, that's going to be there. That is something that, I enjoyed, and I found out I enjoyed it. I mean, eventually, when I, broke up with my girlfriend that I was living with, I ended up, kind of getting into, another relationship, and then eventually got married. things didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, sex was definitely great, and again, like it was rough. It wasn't a like easy situation to deal with. I mean, I had to deal with a lot of things, but I wanted children, I don't think that, in hindsight, I don't think that I would, I had to deal with it. Like it was other ways I could have dealt with it that I didn't know until, later. But, if I wanted kids, I could have had kids. Like, I just, the thing is like, it's a lot of the chicks that I met, they're scared to have kids, even my ex-wife, it took some convincing to get her, to kind of get on board, because she already had kids and I don't think she really wanted any more or whatever. But the thing is like that was what I was on. I was 35 and no, I was like 34. I was like 34 years old, 33 or 34. And I just knew I was already old at that time. Like I knew, like, even if I had kids, like I'm gonna be, 40 or 50 something by the time they're adults. Meanwhile, people I'm in high school with, they getting ready to send their kids off to homecoming and prom and shit like that. Because I started late. I started really late. My sister, my older sister, she had her first child at 18. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I just, it took me a while to, kind of figure things out or whatever. But once I got to my 30s, I mean, it was just like, I just was compelled to get them out. I mean, it was just, that was what I was on. Now, other people, I mean, I think they have different viewpoints. I've talked about this before, and it's like basically a lot of dudes, I think that they care. They're a type of person where a lot of dudes are, quite a few dudes, they care about what other people think of them. They care about even like not being a hypocrite, or they trying to do things a conservative way or something, where they trying to meet a certain woman and it ain't happening, and it's like they don't want to go out and possibly be I guess in a sense of single dad. You know what I'm saying? A dude that was married or got his girlfriend pregnant and they both went on their separate way. Like they don't want to do it that way. Some people I think are religious and they want things to be a certain way as well. And I think those are the two camps that they have this issue where this a delayed childbirth. Or they're like, basically male spinsters, you know what I'm saying? And, male, I think, and then another thing is, I think they don't want to go overseas either. They trying to like alpha their way through America, they want to do that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I wasn't really even, well, I tried to get my passport in my late 20s, but it was like I was having some issues getting that. But the thing is like once I realized like I couldn't get my passport, I was like, well, I gotta do what I gotta do in this country. And eventually, I mean, I just took things serious, like, I mean, one of the things with my ex-girlfriend, before my ex-wife, like, I was serious. I wanted to have babies. She didn't want to have no babies, and it was like, it wasn't really no discussion type of thing. It was just that she was definitely not trying to have no children. I mean, she still don't have kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think she doesn't want to have children, like, at all. Like, obviously, I mean, I think she's like older than me, but the thing is, it's like, yeah, I wanted to have kids. Like, I didn't give a fuck about no struggle, no fucking, like, what people think about me, or I mean, because, like, my family wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like I came from the family of, like, the fucking Kennedys or the Jacksons or some shit, where it was some prestige and, you don't do this and you gotta do this the right way and all of that. Like, my mom's side of the family, actually my dad's side of the family is more conservative than my mother's side of the family. I mean, my mother didn't give a shit whether, she didn't give a shit about a lot of things. Like she just said she wanted grandkids. That's all she said. Like, I mean, and I don't know, like, she was kind of carefree, careless, and, that was just the type of person she was. But, I mean, yeah, like, it really didn't matter. My family was, on my mom's side, kind of broken because my grandfather, my biological grandfather, died, and then their stepfather, my mom's stepfather, which is my grandfather, only grandfather that I knew, he stepped in and raised them and was very stern, and they didn't really like him because they just felt that he was just too mean, too aggressive, too stern. But I mean, the thing is, like, he did raise them. He got them actually out of the projects. Like, they were kind of living. It wasn't the projects, but it was like low income housing, like where they were living. My grandfather was like working at a Ford assembly plant. He got sick, and basically my grandmother started to deal with my grandfather because she worked with him, and my parents, my mom didn't really like it, and all the other kids didn't like it. My aunt, she was too young to know what was going on, but when she found out what happened when she got older, she didn't really like that because technically, my grandmother was dealing with another man while her husband was sick. So that was just, that's what happened. But the thing is like, basically, they were, they're already kind of broken, to where, the family just kind of split apart after my grandfather died. One camp went to, Minnesota and became Jehovah's Witnesses. The other camp, just went all over the place. So, yeah, stayed in Chicago and did, was just kind of all different directions, But, the thing is, like, yeah, like, I mean, being, it wasn't no thing where I had to be a husband and I had to have kids this way and all of that. I mean, even though that's what I eventually did, but the thing is like, yeah, like I was trying to have a baby. Like, that was it was just like, man, that was what I was on. I ain't really care about no struggle. I mean, I always knew how to make money. Like, I mean, that's one of the good things about me. I mean, the thing is like, I think it's something astrological as well. Cause like a lot of Virgo men are make good with money. I'm not saying every man is Warren Buffett, even though Warren Buffett is a Virgo, but like, it's a lot of, that's just kind of one of the gifts that we have. We're very good at, basically multiplying money. If I had to say anything, like, we're just good at, we're a knack at knowing how to basically invest in money. Okay, got Nas. Nas got basically he's an angel investor. He invested in Coinbase and a couple other companies and whatnot. But like, yeah, like the thing is like I always knew, even through the struggle, no matter what, I was gonna be victorious. And women don't really operate like that. They don't. You got some women that do that, or understand that, or they have a trust in their man is going, ultimately one day be victorious. But most women, especially nowadays, they don't have any hope that you're gonna be some victorious, whatever, person that is, making money and doing good in life. Like, if you're not at that point doing good in life and you struggling, they might give you some pussy, but other than that, they gonna put you in a box of you the struggle love box, and that's all they know. They can't see the future. They don't know the future, what it's gonna be. They just know what you are right now. If you struggling right now, that's how they look at you. And I've had situations where I done came up, I done did better, and chicks that I dealt with in the past that didn't think highly of me. Now they get an understanding like, yeah, this dude actually is more than, he's better than what I thought he was, as far as I thought he was just a total bum, but no, this dude actually does have something for himself. But it's like, the thing is like, that's just how women are. Women just, they see you at the moment of wherever you are. They don't see anything ahead of that. They just see whatever they see. If they see like you struggling, they just think that's what it's gonna be. You're just a struggle dude, and they don't see any future. It's like some chicks, they'll like work with you and help you and work and like do stuff or whatever. Those women are rare, and those are the women that you probably would marry, or you would want to marry, because it ain't that many women that are like that. Most women, they don't even want to deal with no man unless he's got a certain lifestyle or whatever. They just not gonna deal with it, and then they suffer too, because here's the thing, right? It's the whole finish line argument. So, okay, you want me to win the race, cross the finish line, be this successful Uber dude that's, making decent money or whatever, a millionaire or above. And I'm just what? I'm just going to, basically go back in the crowd and then pick you out of it? Hell no. That's really dumb that women would actually even think that some dude is going to come up and then come back and get, some chick that was waiting for him to come up. Meanwhile, you don't know who I was with at that time. It could have been 2 years ago, a year ago. You could have been, who was you dealing with? You weren't waiting for me. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't even talking to me. It wasn't like you checking on, it's like I'm trying to get a mortgage or whatever, and I'm, doing some credit rebuilding. And it's like, this mortgage company or mortgage officer, she's checking and running updates, and, she like, yeah, you're doing good, good progress, maybe it might be time to talk about some possible, reapplying or whatever, and it's not like women do that say that shit, or as far as, get yourself together and then come back to me. They not checking on your ass. They like, that's just something they say. And then, they see you come up. Then it's like, they already know the deal. They already know you ain't going to talk to them. Because you already passed the finish line. You've already have some success. You already, what I'm saying? You're not going to deal with them because you already know, you already came up. You already where you wanted to be in the first place, and they weren't with you during that struggle. They weren't with you, shooting in the gym. They were wherever they were, and they told you to come back when they were successful, because that's what they said. And the dude that they dealing with, if they dealing with a dude, he's just a regular degular individual. He ain't no hedge fund manager, he ain't no millionaire, none of that. Just and he, probably uglier than you are. Like, what I'm saying? Like, it's just some shit they said at the time, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just what women do. Some women, I think a lot of women, especially black women, are just terrible investors. They don't know how to read men. They don't know how to see successful men. I mean, it's a difference between a dude that's hungry, that's getting out of bed, trying, attempting to do stuff, ambitious, versus a dude is just talking and he ain't doing shit. He just talking. Like, it's a difference, but a lot of women, they just can't see it. They don't know it. Really, to be honest, a lot of women that do say, oh, get yourself together and come back to me, they don't really like you like that. I'm saying, at the end of the day, because, even in the whole, like, American wedding ceremonies, what do they say? For richer or poor, well, you ain't really, wifey material, because you trying to do richer for richer. Like, poor, you ain't doing poor. So, like, that's the chick that's gonna divorce your ass just because you lost a job. You come home and you honey, I got fired, I got laid off. And then she, try to be supportive the first day. By next week, she see you, drinking some coffee and reading the newspaper on your tablet. She like, have you been applying for some jobs? And then next thing you know, y'all in a full blown argument because she got to go to work, and then you hanging around, getting less than half of your salary from an unemployment check, enjoying your coffee with no cares about, any manager or getting to work on time or anything, and she like, damn, I gotta take care of this man, and all this shit. But it's like, yeah, like, those are the women. Those are those women that, like they want nothing but success, and any inkling of, any failures, they out the door. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they haven't, any dude that they deal, it's not like, okay, they gonna leave you and come up. A lot of women, when they leave you, if you notice, they ain't came up at all. They ain't got nobody that's better, or nobody better than you. You know what I'm saying? They just stuck permanently single. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is like that. Those are those types of women that, even if you deal with them, like, they don't have any stick with itness to deal with you in hard times. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just not the woman that you want to deal with. Like I'll be honest, like, a woman that will camp with you in the woods and, have a good time and enjoy herself, man, that might be like a test. Like, go, if you really want to see if a chick down with you, man, go camping for like a day, from like Friday or Saturday to Sunday, and then just see how she acts to it. See how she reacts to it. You know what I'm saying? Because like that's like, kind of a situation where if you homeless or whatever, you camping out in the the woods, it's kind of like a simulation of, the whole poorer situation, instead of the richer, situation, see how she reacts when, ain't no running water and all of that. You just out in the nature with just nothing but a, tent, and whatnot, supplies and, tools and whatnot. But yeah, like, the whole point is, like, man, I had this fear, and I'm not going to take this too long. It's just the whole thing with what I'm saying is like when I started off with, I had this fear where this awesome dude that I think that is all of me, if I don't have no children, it's just going to be just up in smoke. I get in a car accident. Something happened to me. I get smoked, whatever. Like, I'm gone. I ain't got no kids, no offspring. You know what I'm saying? I just, puff, just fade in the dust, and I ain't want that. And I just, I basically, I started getting to work, you know what I'm saying? That's all. I was determined, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn near like the male version of Species. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get these things off, And I wasn't scared. Like, I wasn't scared of, I think some dudes like legitimately are scared to have children, like, or to get a chick pregnant. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I would say when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, definitely teens, that was also a concern as well. I mean, but when I got older, I was like, well, a lot of that shit got thrown out the window because, I mean, I wanted to have kids. I didn't want to be no old man with kids, in the sense of those of, my first children, and I'm this old dude with kids, and I kind of, I'm kind of like that already because my actual children are all small. Like, I don't have any teenage kids. My children are like basically barely teeny boppers. Like, they just starting to, get to the teens and whatnot. Like, they're small children. They still, freaking playing with Roblox and shit like that. Like, they don't play with dolls as much. They kind of growing out of that, but they small children. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they small children, and it's a ways away, but the thing is like, yeah, I totally didn't want to just, basically live my life and not have no offspring. Like, and I just fade into the dust. All of this awesomeness, all of this 6'3" of awesomeness just fades to the dust, and it's like, nah, I that was just what I was on. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, everybody got their own, decisions to make and this, that, and the third. Everything, if you waiting, I will say this, if you waiting for perfection, I mean, it ain't gonna come. And whatever you thought was gonna be perfection, it's life is not necessarily always perfect, obviously, right? It's imperfections and also perfections. It's imperfections intertwined with perfections. Like, it's just not, the perfect situation and opportunity. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I mean, in a sense, like, I guess in a sense, it's like almost like breeding. Like, you trying to like breed, I mean, obviously, you having sex, actually the act of sex is breeding, right? Like, it's like, I ain't gonna lie, like some dudes, they be like, they be trying to have sex, but they ain't trying to get the chick pregnant. I mean, it's ways you can do that, it's ways that you can like, track your woman's ovulation schedule and all of that type of stuff. Obviously use the pull out method and all of that, but the thing is, like with me, like I even, even my age, I'm not done having children. Like, if I can meet someone that, is cool and whatnot, and obviously she would have to be younger. I mean, I still have some children because at the end of the day, I never had, I will admit, I never had a situation where, I mean, obviously, things will, when I get older, that's going to change, as far as things is concerned, with start wanting to have another family, and all of that, like, that dream will definitely cancel out. That dream has an expiration date, I'll just say. Cause when you do have children, like, it's tiring, very, very tiring, because you basically dealing with new energy, basically, because everybody is energy, right? Or like a energy cell, right? And babies and toddlers and little children, small children, they have a lot of energy, and they want to play, and all that. They want to go out, and they want to have fun, and you want to go to, and the older you get, the more you want to settle. And when you like in your 30s and 40s and 50s chasing around little kids, man, it's a tiring. Even if you ask women and men that have children in their 20s, they'll probably tell you, like, shit, it's tiring for me. I'm in my 20s. I can't imagine being 40 and 50 chasing around children. But I mean, you dealing with like a puppy or kitten. They want to play. They got a lot of energy, very high energy levels, and you get older, your energy levels kind of get lowered over time. You want to be more sedentary and whatnot, the older you get. And, it's like, yeah, children have a lot of energy, and, it's like, once they get like, I would say older than 5, once they get about 5 years old, the older they get, they start to be more self-sufficient. So, they still want to play and everything like that and get out the house and all of that. But, that you don't necessarily have to chase them around that much. You just kind of have to monitor them, and kind of keep up the best way you can. But yeah, all that shit gets tiring. It's very, very energy. A lot of energy is definitely utilized with children, with babies, especially babies, because they need on the clock 24/7 care. They can't do anything on their own. So, I just wanted to make this video because I ain't gonna lie. I see a lot of brothers talking about all kinds of shit, and it's like, nigga, where your kids at, motherfucker? That's what I be thinking. Like, I be like, where's your children at, man? You ain't trying to go fuck nothing and make some kids. Like, I'm like a granddad. Like, I got granddad logic. Like, where the fuck why you ain't like, you ain't trying to fuck on nothing. You ain't trying to spread your seed. You know what I'm saying? You got all of this conversation about this and that, and it's like, nigga, why are you wasting your life away? Worrying about foolishness. Like, like it's like the thing about children to me, and having offspring and all of that. It's like that's more important to me than money. Like, a lot of people, they kind of have things backwards, in my opinion. Like, they're focused on money and whatnot, and career success and all of that shit. All that shit don't mean shit on a carnal, animalistic level. And here's the thing, like, one of the things about, having education is very, very important. And I think some people just don't comprehend, though, what they're reading or what they're studying. But when I was in college and I read Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I understood what I was reading. I understood the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And on the lower spectrum of the hierarchy of needs, it says, it doesn't say it on all of them, but it has sex on there. And it's not to have sex just to have sex. No, to have sex to fucking procreate. Because if you don't procreate, it doesn't, money doesn't fucking matter. Your career, definitely. You think your job, you give a fuck about, you give more of a fuck about your job than your job gives a fuck about you. And that's just how that typically how that works. So you just give a fuck about your job because you don't got no money and you don't come from no inheritance. You don't have any inheritance, which most people don't. And you need your job because your lifestyle, your economic, financial success depends on that job, which most people are like that as well. So that's why you get, that's why you care so much about the job, and, you still don't feel confident because it's not like you make, a whole bunch of money, and, you worried about all of these things and these other things. It's like, nigga, you can get hit by a car. You can have $100,000 in the bank. You can have, a good job and everything, man, and you don't got no kids. I mean, okay, they'll have enough money to bury you. Your mom, if she's still alive, your dad, or your sister, they'll try to arrange everything. If you're lucky, they might bury you, might have an honest burial, or they might just fucking cremate your ass because that's the cheapest. I'm gonna tell you, like, it's God's honest truth. Like, a lot of people, they just get cremated because funerals cost money. That's the cheapest way to basically bury someone, is to just get them cremated. Because in a cremation, you don't need it's no funeral. It's no burial service that's needed. Ain't no plot that you gotta buy. Ain't no headstone. They just give you, the little like thing that your ashes is in, and that's it. And it's like the cheapest form. It's the cheapest way to funeral. It's the cheapest option at the funeral home is cremation. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they could just cremate your ass. Depending on if you got a sister that don't really get no fuck. It just depends on what type of family you have. You got a family that don't really get no fuck, and you don't got no kids, so you ain't got shit coming to you. If you got a girlfriend, whoop-de-doo, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It's like what they say down south. Whoop-de-doo. Like, they not giving your girlfriend shit. You think they gonna give your girlfriend it could be your fiance. Who gives a shit? You think they gonna give the girlfriend your savings account, all your information? Like, here's the thing though, right? This is what girlfriends usually do, right? Even girlfriends of drug dealers, when the dude dies, they taking everything in the apartment or the house. You know what I'm saying? If y'all, if y'all, obviously if you girlfriend and boyfriend, you probably sharing the key. You probably live together, and she taking that shit. As soon as you motherfucking found out you dead, she got your account she getting your debit cards. She going through everything you have to safe. She going through fucking everything. She taking everything because she know as soon as the family come over, they already got your shit. Like, so if you got a girlfriend, she gon' motherfucking take everything that she could possibly take from your ass, before the family come through. And, that's how that goes. And if you don't have, let's just say you don't have a girlfriend, okay, all right, the family, they can, basically, they get your stuff, they find everything, they split and divvy things up or whatever. And Anything that's in your accounts, they'll try to, get, the death certificate and, get those proceeds out your. I don't even really, to be honest, I don't even know how that really works, right? As far as, from what I know, like, because here's another thing, and it's just how things are. Like, because you're a single man, your family technically can't just take your shit like that. Like, I mean, in the legal terms of like, they can't just go down and, like my grandma passed away. My uncle, was able to get, everything from her accounts and everything like that because that's her son. But the thing is, if you're just a single man, or even a single woman, right? Like, technically your family, your next of kin doesn't automatically, like, you'd have to, attorney would have to chime in on this or whatever, like, and tell me, because technically your family don't have any like rights to your belongings. Like, it's not like that. Like, your aunts and uncles and your mom and dad, like your next of kin, they would have to, I think your stuff and all your accounts and monies that you have will go into probate. If you don't have a will, or if you don't have like a defined trust. And what I mean by a defined trust is you got a trust and you already have, basically people that, like an heir. If something happens to you, if you pass, it will go to this person or whatever. If you don't have all of that set up, like you don't have a will set up and all of that, like, it's a very strong opportunity. Your belonging, whatever money you have in accounts or whatever, it will go into probate, and they would have to sort that out in court. And those, I think probates take a while. It takes like years for probates process to go through and all of that. And you might have to get an attorney and all of that. And it's like, yeah, like, you think they gonna bury you, give you an honest, like, a good burial, you know what I'm saying? If they don't have no money from yours, or you might have family that's bogus and they don't give a fuck about your burial. They just want whatever they can get. They want to squeeze you like a lemon. Then next thing you know, yeah, you got a motherfucking, you ain't even got a funeral. They might have a dinner party where, they have a meal and then, eat some chicken dinners and talked about how good everything you are, how good you were. And they might have a makeshift obituary, on the table. And, they just talked about how good you were, and funny moments and all this stuff, I mean, that's if you lucky, man. Like, it just depends on how your family is, like, and that's all. That's how it's gonna go down, like that, I mean, if your kid's small and you pass away, like, they have to. It takes some time for, basically it'll go to them, but they'd have to have like whoever, next of kin that is responsible for them, and shit. I mean, I don't know, like, usually that would be probably their mom, so then, if you ain't like your baby mama before you, while you was living, before you pass away, you think she gonna do right by you and your money and your kids, like, just, it's a lot of what ifs with that. But I mean, like, the thing is like, yeah, like, you definitely, I don't know, like, the way I look at it, like, I care more about my children, than fucking money, than a career, and like, people be scared and shit. They be scared of, like, if they gonna be in poverty and they gonna be, a single mom with kids struggling and shit like that. That never crossed my fucking mind. The reason being is, I know one of the things I know, like, it's like, okay, like, a lot of immigrants, they come over to this country, and then next thing you know, They balling out of control because they take it, and then people in this country, they talking about they got a loan and all kinds of other excuses to why they're successful in their business and making a shit ton of money. And basically, a lot of immigrants, like, they help each other out. They work with each other, and they help each other, kind of spring forward. A lot of black folks don't help each other. We like independent truckers. We don't help each other. Other than if you in a gang or some type of organization, maybe. But for the most part, we don't really help each other out like that. We all, every man for himself, but the thing is like, that's, like how I look at it. Like, I was born in this country. I know like this country is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Not as much as an immigrant knows, because definitely an immigrant, as soon as he come here, he don't see nothing but dollar signs, and he get right to work. A lot of immigrants, it really do hurt. Like, you really think about it, like an immigrant coming over here, after about 4 or 5 years, he balling out of control, and you just basic as fuck. And he in your own country that you grew up with, and he don't even know how to get around and all of that, but he doing better than you financially, and you grew up in this country. And it's like, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, where, I know I'm going to be able to make it regardless. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never worried about making it. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, it ain't really that difficult. You just really got to stay out of bullshit. I'll say this. You got to stay out of the way of motherfuckers that's on bullshit. That's rule number 1. Number 2, stay away from bullshit. What I mean by bullshit is, women that's, crazy and, probably, carrying diseases, fucking anybody, and toxic and all of that. Like, staying away from drugs, staying away from hard narcotics and all of that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit will fuck you up, drive you crazy. Next thing you know, begging for dollars in front of Jewel grocery store. Looking for a smack cocktail with fentanyl and heroin. You know what I'm saying? Because you hooked on drugs. Alcohol. I mean, any vice. Like, if you can stay away from most vices as much as you possibly can, definitely heavy vices like drugs and all of that. Like, you can control yourself. That's another thing, right? That's like, you know what I'm saying? One of the major things to look out for, and I mean, I ain't gonna lie, having a good spiritual foundation is like a toolkit. It gives you something that you can walk through the forest, a dark forest, with confidence that you gonna make it through. Or, I mean, I ain't saying walk through a forest with nothing, at least have you, a hunting knife or a gun or something, and you just, you walk. Just the idea of it is you walking through this forest, this dark forest, and you have faith that you can pull through. You know what I'm saying? And those 3 things right there, that's more than enough to thrive in this society. I mean, knowing how to make money and knowing how to sell and, do other things to make money, it definitely helps as well. Being basically a hustler, focused individual where you can, basically turn $1 into 2 at least, turn 5 into 10, 10 into 20, that does help as well, right? But I mean, I always been a hustler. I always been a worker, making money, you know what I'm saying? Trying to, make some money on my own. I've been doing that since I was a little boy. So, being an adult, it wasn't never a thing where I'm like, well, I'm going to be some broke nigga just sitting at home, just broke than a motherfucker, don't know which way is up. Like, I'm going to go hit the door and try to make me some money. I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's money out here. I don't care if you got to go sell on the street, you know, socks and towels or whatever you selling. And if you got to do what you got to do, you do it, you know? And I always been that type of person, you know? So I never thought, oh, my baby ain't going to have nothing. My baby ain't going to, you know, I'm going to just be out here just with nothing and my baby going to be with, nah, I never had that focus. You know what I'm saying? Like, just never occurred to me like that. Like, I'm, you know, I got smarter over time. Obviously, you gonna sacrifice for your children. I mean, that's another reason why I don't go out and buy Gucci belts and this and that, trying to look like something and all that. Cause it's like, at the end of the day, it's not just me as well. Like, even if I wanted to do that, it's not like I'm just this single man, you know, collecting Gucci belts and shit. Like, I got children, I got responsibilities. Even though in my state of mind, I wouldn't do that. I used to do that when I didn't really know that much about finances. I didn't have any financial discipline. Like, I know you don't do that now. You know, the goal is momentum. You know, you trying to build up momentum, and, you know, wasting money kills momentum. So I don't do those things. You know, I don't run up credit cards on dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? I run up credit cards trying to make some money, if anything, you know. But, you know, the thing is, like, that's just how I looked at it. Like, I mean, your ability to reproduce is way more important than money, way more important than a career, you know. All of those things are secondary things. I know they're important. I'm not saying that they're not important. You know, a lot of people, they forego children because they don't feel confident enough as far as how much money they make in their career. I mean, in my opinion, like, once you get it, this is my personal opinion. Like, again, I started late. I started in my late 30s. I think, in my opinion, if you in your 20s and teens, obviously 19, 18, you know, 20, and I think that's focus is not bad. It's not bad to think like that. But if you want to actually have kids, like, and you in your 30s, you're 35 plus, you're a 35 plus year old man, wherever you are, like, unless you're just fucked up in the game, like, you really, really fucked up. Like, now, I'm not going to say that, but if you like, you know, basically you work, you do okay. You're not rich, you're not where you want to be. I mean, shit, like, you don't really have that much time. I'm not saying you like a woman, you know, you men, one of the things that we do have the value of being able to procreate a lot later in life. But the thing is like, you just, the older you get, the you know, the worse it gets for you, and definitely even for your children. You know, older men do have, it's more risk and complications as far as cognitive diseases for, like, children, like, you know, autism, Down syndrome, things of those, just basically cell defects forming because, you know, sperm is older, you know, it's more risk as you get older. You know, I just have to point that out. You know what I'm saying? I got to be honest. You know, women be like, yeah, well, we age out and then we can't make no babies. But then the older y'all get, y'all sperm and DNA starts to deteriorate as well. You know what I'm saying? As an issue. But if you're a healthy male, like, you eating healthy, you're very healthy, you can have healthy children, even all the way into your 80s. You know, as long as you, like, one of the benefits, one of the superpowers that men have, and I think this is one of the reasons why men are very very expendable. Like, men can have children as long as they can produce sperm. You could be a 90-something-year-old man busting, as long as you can still bust off. You know, it's like, you know, like, what's dude,
not Young Jock. What's the dude? Damn, I forgot his. I'm having a late night brain fart. One of them Atlanta rappers. You know what I'm saying? I forgot. But he got that song, round number 4, let me make that ass clap. And then it's like, one of the part of the chorus is bust it, bust it. I mean, it's like as long as a man can bust it, basically, actually having a healthy ejaculation. It's a man. You could be 90 some years old having kids. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's men's superpower. Actually, our ability to ejaculate, have an erection, is our overall health. Our sexual men's sexual health. And I found this out like in the weirdest way and the strangest place, but I found it out. I was listening to the radio. I was doing community service, you know. And it was a long time ago. They had some health expert on there or some dude on the radio knew about this or whatever, and they were talking about it. And I'm like, I'm like, what, 20? I'm like probably like 29 or 30 years old at the time, and I'm doing community service and shit. You know what I'm saying? I got caught. I ain't gonna even talk about it, but I mean, it was some dumb shit. Like, I don't know. But the thing is like, they were saying that a man's sexual health is intertwined with his mortality. So the second, like, actually, when a man gets ED, like, it ain't just you can't get it up and you struggling and that's it. No, that's like a warning sign. That's a warning sign that you have bad health. And it's the first warning sign that you possibly can die, because a man's sexual health is intertwined with his overall mortality. So like, men tend to just, get ED. They still want to have sex. Like, men tend to start having problems with ED. I mean, you could kind of like throw in microplastics and mercury and stuff like that. Toxic environment, toxins in the food, toxins in the water. They do play a role in this, but the thing is, like, when men start getting ED like around 40, 45, maybe even premature ED like 35 and stuff like that. And then by the time, they might take some Viagra. They might take Viagra all the way up into their 60s and 70s. But then, by 70s and, definitely 80s, men, they might want to have, like, they want to get one off. They might want to go to the strip club and try to have one last, moment in time to relive their youth. I don't know, be some dirty old man or whatever. But the thing is like, by the time they get to like 70, 80, depending on the man, I mean, if they had ED, definitely if they already had it, they just eventually it's gonna come a time a man is just he gonna stop caring about taking Viagra. He not gonna be having sex. He don't even want to really have sex. The thought of it is just it's just kind of a thought, and he's just gonna start getting older and older, and then eventually he's going to die. That's just how that goes. you know um but if a man can, if he can keep it, if he can get it up and he can bust one off, I mean, he can technically have children. Like, it doesn't matter if he's 75. This one of the reasons why when women get older, the older they get, they start hating men, because men don't have no fucking technical time clock in the sense of, oh shit, 35, I gotta get pregnant. You know, I got 30, 40, damn, I gotta go get IVF. Ain't no man talking about, I ain't never heard no man talking about he got to go do IVF. Not a motherfucker I ever heard talk about he got to go to some clinic and do IVF to have a child. And it's just not a part of the conversation. Most men just, they busting off, it's some men that might have some issues. They might be sterile or whatever, but most men, basically they can ejaculate normal and that's it. Like, if they healthy, they can ejaculate, they can bust off, and that's it. It's nothing. It's no really true magic behind it. They can just bust it off, and that's it. Like, they could do that. It doesn't matter. 50 years old, they come home from the gym, bust their wife off, and actually make a baby as well. By the time women get in their 50s, they pretty much entering premenopause, or if not already gone through menopause. Like, it's if dependent, and that also, as far as women, it depends on their health, their overall health. Some women, they're healthy and they eating really good. They might even be vegetarian, and they could be 50 years old and have children. Like, they can get pregnant, have a healthy pregnancy and everything. Like, at 50, they can be 55. Like a lot of women in India, they be old as hell and still have natural births. Cause a lot of Indians, I think it's like the Hindus, it's certain like Hindu sects or something, they don't eat meat. Like, it's like, forbidden or something like that. The cow, I think the cow is sacred or something like that. Like, they have like a vegetarian diet. And vegetarian diets are like probably one of the most healthy diets you can have. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just is like, once you start eating meat, animal fat, and animal, protein, that stuff start to clog your arteries up. And that's why most dudes have ED, because basically your arteries are clogged, and then, basically it goes down to your penis, and your penis is clogged. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, if you do like fasting for like a few days or a week, like, next thing you know, you start to get, a natural erection back, because, unclogged a lot of that waste. Your body done broke down all of this waste and all of this fat that was all in your, bloodstream and everything. And it's like, yeah, a lot of the Indians, like, Hindus, they don't eat meat. So it's basically they kind of extending their life, and your sexual health is also extended, so yeah, they have shit. It's women over there 60 some years old giving birth to healthy newborns naturally with no IVF or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, I've been talking up the storm, but that's just, it's just my vantage point of how I look at things. I'd be like, it's like that old man in that video. I got it on my channel. He went up to the guys and he's like, man, I don't never see y'all with no bitches, man. Y'all all just be around each other. I don't never see y'all with no bitches. It's like that's how I be looking. Like, that's how I be thinking. I'm like, damn, nigga, y'all talking about this and that, and then, nigga, don't you got some fucking to go do? Don't you got some babies to make or something? Don't you got to start a family, motherfucker? When you gonna start a family, motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? That's just what I be thinking, man. But I know this is another video. Y'all just hate my ass, but it is what it is, man. I'm the older brother, talking shit. I'm gonna talk my shit too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest, I don't really worry. Like, that's why I don't worry about a lot of bullshit. I don't worry about none of that FBA goofy shit, none of that. Because at the end of the day, it's about money, power,
and babies, really, to be honest. Offspring. Those are major things that people, war with and all of that. Like all that identity bullshit, that's just that, in the end of the day, that shit is like what people talk about when they start getting broke. It's like they start noticing stupid, minute shit. And it's like, white people don't still, even with all of this bullshit, white people won't, notice white people, they ain't worried about none of that shit. They flying to Europe every day with no problems. They having motherfucking croissants and what I'm saying, French fucking lattes in a cafe in Paris, flying in from from New York to France and shit, motherfucking having a French breakfast and shit with a croissant and a fucking cappuccino or a latte or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Enjoying life. Where niggas talking about some, goddamn Africans and Caribbeans and people from other parts of the fucking African diaspora and shit. And it's like, nigga, you got some fucking to do, don't you? Don't you got a family to make or some shit? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I don't worry about all that goofy shit and I don't really talk about it, because at the end of the day, it's about money, power, and fucking children, man. Like, to continue on. Like, all of that, like, and I knew that for decades. I realized that a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, the alpha, he gonna have some kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, at the end of the day, like, all you doing, and I don't get it. Like, I don't really get the most beta shit you can possibly do is brag about not having kids. You know what I'm saying? That's literally you're saying you're a beta. When you brag about the fact that you don't have offspring, like, that's nothing to actually, like, that's really, if you think about it, right? That's really nothing to be proud of, because it's kind of like, and I know the black community, that's a black community thing, really, because a lot of black people, because the single mother rate and the single parent rate is just so crazy and so backwards and shit like that. Like, so it's like, it's a proud thing to not have, children, or, to be a baby mama or whatever, a single dad or whatever. Like, I get it. I do understand that. But at the end of the day, like, you got to look at it like this, right? It doesn't matter if you white, black, whatever. Like, if you don't have children, technically, in a sense, you're not winning in the game of life, as far as, like, you're not winning evolutionarily speaking. And then you also, if, let's even say that the reason why most people don't have children is because they don't have any money, or they're not happy with their career or whatever. Like, motherfuckers get rich every day. People become millionaires every fucking day. Like, I mean, I'm not saying, I'll be the first one to say that, and I've said many times, it's not easy to make a whole bunch of money and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, like, if that is your, that's your inability to make a certain amount of money or career success is stopping you from having children or stopping you from having a family or whatever. Like, well, damn. Well, shouldn't you be talking about that? You should in theory, that's all you should be talking about. Like, man, I got it. That's why I created this channel. Man, you got to get this money. Let's get this money. Come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Wealth. That's all I talk about mostly. Like, that's what this channel is. Like, I don't talk about all that other bullshit because it doesn't, I've said it, I've been saying this for years. All that shit don't matter. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's a difference between when you have versus when you don't have in this country. Like, when you don't have, you not winning. So to brag that you not winning, it's like you're bragging when you brag that you don't got children, in a sense, you really kind of bragging, like low key. Like, I get the young people. When the young people brag, I get that. That is something to brag about. When you in your 20s and you don't have no kids, like, yeah, okay, cool. You can travel, you can enjoy life. Single mother, she's 20, she's in the projects with kids, struggling, dealing with her baby daddy or not dealing with her baby daddy, whatever. Like, I get that. But you 40 something and bragging about you ain't got no kids, that's not no fucking winner. You know what I'm saying? You're not no alpha. You're not winning in life because you 40 something with no kids. You a 40 something year old man bragging about you ain't got no kids. That's a loser. Like, I mean, I just gotta call it what it is. Like, that's nothing. Like, I can get if you in your 20s, you bragging about you ain't got no damn kids. I get that. That's something to be proud about. Okay, here's your medal, your trophy. But you 45 and you basically saying you've never achieved maximum success enough to make enough money, or you've not achieved any success in meeting a woman that you could actually have those children with, and all of that, and have this happy family. Either one of those things, like, you're not fucking, you just, it's like some people believe because they didn't actually participate, that it's like almost like, just imagine you're a world champion boxer, but you got beat a whole bunch of times. Your record is like 28-5. You lost 5 fights, but you won 28. Maybe at one time you was undefeated, like your 15 fight, you went 15 fights going undefeated, then you lost one, but you've been boxing for a decade at least, right? Like, and it's like some dude that ain't never boxed and never got in the ring, he bragging about, like, he ain't lost no fight. Nigga, of course you ain't lose no fight because you never boxed, nigga. I mean, of course. It's like niggas bragging about, man, I ain't get knocked out. I ain't lose no fights. Yeah, you ain't never fucking fought, motherfucker. You ain't never put no gloves on and got in the ring. You dumb motherfucker. Of course you ain't got no losses. That's how they, I just gotta tell motherfuckers, just because a lot of motherfuckers can't see themselves in a mirror. And I have to be that mirror. And Virgos are real good at being that too. That's why we really are. We get a lot of Virgos get hated because we tell it. We almost a lot of times we kind of know shit too much into detail, as far as, like, we can break shit down exactly how it is, to the point where you thought you was motherfucking eating or cooking, but you really low key, like, a clown. And it's like somebody tell you basically, point the mirror at you and show how much of a clown you actually sound like, and everything. And it's like, damn, motherfuckers don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear, oh man, you broke, man. You're a broke-in. Like, they don't want to hear that shit because it hurts, because, the actual fact is, yes, as such. But okay, it's not that I'm, saying you're this and then I'm just making, some dudes just have channels where they just make fun of motherfuckers. It's just a nonstop, making fun of other people fest. It's just like a nonstop cat fest. This channel is not that. Like, I'm trying to help people improve, trying to help people, come up, trying to help people have a better life, better financial life and all of that. I got books and everything, right? So it's like not that with me, but I mean, instead of taking that hurt and that reality of what you don't like about yourself, turn that shit into, okay, I'm going to take things serious. I don't like this dude, but he right. I'm a broke motherfucker. I'm going to take this, this reality that I don't like and take it serious
focus in on people, basically, that have the lifestyle that I already want to live and the money that I want to have. And I'm going to follow these people. I'm going to, everywhere they are. They got a Twitter, I'm following them. They got an Instagram, they got a Facebook, I'm following them. And I'm going to actually watch what they do. I'm going to, I might buy some of their, merchandise or content to, what do they call it? Digital assets to see if they can help me in my life. If they got a book or they got a course or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what you do. Like, you don't just be like, man, fuck that nigga, man. Fuck him. And then just leave it at that. That doesn't improve your life. You don't like because he said something about you that you don't want to acknowledge. It's like, men have accountability issues as well. It just, we might deal with them a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? Like dudes don't necessarily, like we don't lie about it. We weren't raised to lie about like stuff like that. Like women, a lot of time they'll lie that they didn't do something or things ain't the way they actually are, whatever. I mean, some men try to do that, but not most men. They just don't like the fact that you point stuff out and then they feel some type of way about that, or they don't really want to acknowledge that, but they not going to lie about it, and it's like, that's how dudes deal with not wanting to be accountable. Like, you point something out that, they might have a deficiency in, they just, they kind of mad, they get mad about it, but, like, that's them not wanting to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to deal with it the way they want to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to, they're not wanting to be accountable is they don't want to take the steps to actually, bow down to someone's greater. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by bowing down to someone's greater is always somebody greater. In men that play sports, we understand that. It's always somebody that, is going to be better. You know what I'm saying? And if you better, if you get to be the best person or whatever, your skills are going to fade in time. Father time stops for no one, right? Like, so the thing is like, basically, it's going to be a long ass video. It's probably going to be like 2 or 3 hours, but like, basically, that's what you got to do. You got to, if you don't like it, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucker called you out, it's like DMX say, preacher telling the truth and it hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, preacher telling the truth, it hurts, man. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've been through many situations where it hurted. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I got done with high school, like, shit, I had issues getting to college. The colleges that I wanted to go to. You know what I'm saying? What I had to do. Shit, I definitely cried. I ain't gonna lie. I cried like a bitch. But then I took my ass to junior college for a year or two and got them grades. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, I'm in a university, you know what I'm saying, that didn't accept me at first. Now they got my transcripts. You know what I'm saying? I got college credit that transferred, and I'm on the campus. You know what I'm saying? I'm big U. Without the big U, you know what I'm saying? Without being in federal prison, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, that's how you do it. But, the thing is like, yeah, that's all I got to say. I mean, it's just, I just have to just point the mirror at, like I say, I mean, this ain't for everybody. I mean, I'm just saying, like, guys is like, I would say definitely 35 plus for sure. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, you could just, man, go out in traffic, man, and try to cross the street, man. Somebody fucking, could be a high speed chase or whatever, man, boom, you get hit, man, you donezo. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandfather used to say, car for a dead man or car for a dead boy. And that's it. You ain't got no kids, man. It's like, yeah, well, he died. He on your obituary, if you even have one, and a funeral, he had no children, and he went to this place and went to school, and he went to this college, and he worked here, and bloom, 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 and that's it. Like chicken dinner, you know. But yeah, that's all I got to say, man. Peace out.